Hello, so there's been some more media hysteria over knives in the UK because London's knife murder rate and everything else is going so badly out of control, where they're talking about stuff they clearly have no idea about. So there's probably a video a lot of you would have seen where some guy gets off a bike and tries to attack a motorist with a knife, and lots of the media things are saying this is a zombie knife. Now, the motorist for some reason gets out of his car and run away. I'd actually just run over a cunt if he was trying to stab me, but there you go. But basically what he had was one of these, and I actually have one, and they were calling this a zombie knife, and this is not a zombie knife. I think these were originally by Bud K, but you know, it's basically just a very generic kind of Bowie knife. I've sharpened that up because it wasn't that sharp originally. So these are like cheap knives. It's only got like a rat tail tang all the way through it, so it's not an amazingly good tang, but it's an alright knife for what it is if you want a silly knife to mess about with. However, this is not a zombie knife, because a zombie knife is green and it has like zombie pictures on, like words inspiring violence, whatever crap the Home Office says they have on them. So this is not a zombie knife, this is a very generic, just slightly oversized knife. Again, it would not be my first choice if I was to actually use a knife, but again, these are cheap, and no wonder people are getting them with the intention of doing bad things with them, because they look intimidating. And obviously, yes, if you were to stab somebody with this, it would do an efficient job of it, but that's not the knife's fault, it's the person wielding its fault, you know, doing something bad with it. But yeah, I just thought I'd show this because I had one. It's not a zombie knife. You know, ooh, it's a zombie knife, it's a zombie knife. No, that is not a zombie knife. Is your teaspoons going to be zombie knives next? Because maybe they'd look intimidating to somebody, I don't know. So anyway, I thought I'd just start off with that because, you know, zombie knives apparently. Something that big isn't even concealable, it sticks way out of my pocket trying to just put it in there. So, another stupid thing I was reading is some judge said, he started off sensible where he was saying, well, the problem is you can't just expect these teenagers not to stab each other because, you know, they can get knives out of their kitchen drawer from their parents' house. Which is completely true, I've been saying that for ages. You know, this is a stupid thing where people are like, well, you have to be 18 to buy a knife, so why are these teenagers stabbing each other? Oh, it turns out you can get a knife fairly easily if you're not 18. Just for the same reason that, oh, we made drugs illegal, why are there so many drug addicts still, and why is there all this organised crime surrounding drugs? Go figure. So anyway, he came up with the brilliant idea that if knives are sold without points on, they would no longer be able to stab people with them. Now, sadly, I don't know if I actually have any knives easily available that are completely blunt. I suppose I have butter knives, and I don't have a pumpkin or anything, but you just have to take my word of it that if you get a butter knife and you stab hard enough through it, you will be able to stab somebody to death with a butter knife. A knife not having a point isn't a massive problem if the wielder stabs somebody hard enough. Yes, obviously a knife with a point, it's easier to stab somebody with. They were also making this stupid argument that nobody in reality ever needs a point on a knife. I'm sorry, but when I'm doing stuff with a knife, I quite often need the point. If you're ever cutting bits of sellotape off a parcel, using the point of a knife is one of the easiest ways of doing it. Or cutting open plastic packaging. Use the point of the knife and then you pull down. The reason being that the point is really good at just penetrating into the packaging and cutting it. So no, legitimate people do have a legitimate use of points on knives, thank you very much. So what else would criminals use then if they, just for whatever reason, they couldn't use knives like that? Screwdrivers. Screwdrivers are already used in lots of stabbings. I neglected to mention this in the last video and a lot of people caught me out on that, so well done. I should have mentioned it when I was ranting about this sort of stuff. But, you know, a screwdriver that, as I said, doesn't need much force to go into a person. Screwdrivers, you know, sharp on these edges. I don't think it would matter if it was a Phillips one or flathead. I think either way, with enough force, a screwdriver would go into somebody fairly easily, and yes, screwdrivers are often used in stabbings. Particularly stabbings actually where somebody doesn't necessarily intend to stab somebody, they just get angry, a screwdriver's to hand, whoops, I stabbed somebody with a screwdriver. Again, it's got a point like that, with enough force, it goes into people quite easily because people are squidgy. Oop, nearly dropped it then, managed to catch it before it went into my foot. And the other thing is hammers, because the guy was saying if it's blunt it can't hurt somebody. Oh, again, a hammer swung to the head, pretty devastating. Lots of military weapons, if you go back to the medieval period and beforehand, were club weapons, war hammers, maces, flails. So, you know, it's a bit of a stupid point to say, oh, it's blunt, it can't hurt somebody. Again, the funny thing is, when I used to work retail, maybe they've changed this rule now, you didn't have to be 18 to buy a hammer, but you had to be 18 to buy a knife. And I used to look at some of the claw hammers and think, it's got a spike on one end, sort of thing, and it's got a flat head on this bit. Weighs, you know, like a kilo or so for the hammer. Somebody could very easily bash somebody's head in with it. So, with claw hammers, actually, that was one of the things where I'd actually ID people even though we didn't strictly have to, because personally, I would not want to sell a hammer to somebody under 18, especially if they looked a bit shifty, because I could easily imagine them using it to bash somebody's head in, weirdly enough, with a hammer. So, yeah. This video, again, it's been a bit of a rant, but again, it's the media not really understanding anything to do with violent crime and whatever else. Again, if you want to stop this stuff, what you need is more community outreach programs and more police on the streets who actually arrest people, and then they get charged and put in prison for actually violent crimes and intention to commit violent crimes. Not simply saying, well, if we ban this thing and then ban that thing that legitimate people have a use for, that will stop the violent crime, because that never works. And as I said, you can't trust the media anyway, because this is a zombie knife according to the media.